This electronic seminar will introduce you to a process that allows for the successful implementation of an electronic HACCP system. A lot of promises have been made about computer technologies. We talk about the paperless manufacturing plant. On the other hand, companies have discovered that many electronic systems have not achieved the gains that were promised by their suppliers. Reasons for the lack of success in implementing electronic systems can be boiled down to several major areas. The electronic systems are complex, and most of these systems cannot be easily customized to meet the needs of the customer. In short, these systems are not intuitive. This typically results in having individuals keep two sets of records, the electronic records and the paper records. There may not be an internal owner of the electronic system who can answer questions on how the system works. There is insufficient training for current employees, and there may be no training for future employees. Most electronic systems do not look like the paper system. Most paper systems were designed for a purpose. Make it easy for a technician to gather data in a quick and effective manner. Many software suppliers force you to adapt to their management system practices and their data input forms. The electronic system does have a number of critical advantages. First, there is an improvement in the accuracy of the data. Next, data are entered in a format that permits the easy analysis. Many times, HACCP data collected on paper forms are re-entered into the computer for further analysis. This leads to input errors. In addition, the HACCP data might be used in a limited manner, such as a verification prior to release of product. Usually, paper data are not analyzed to determine if negative trends are present that may lead to future food safety incidents. Finally, the use of the electronic systems reduce operational costs. Clerks do not have to re-enter data into the computer. There is no need to verify the accuracy of the data entry process into the computer. And most important, the cost to store electronic records is less than the cost to store paper records. Success in moving from paper to electronic systems is achieved by managing the transition as a project. The project includes the following key components: preliminary activities, transition activities, and validation of the HACCP system. It is critical that you work with your stakeholders in implementing the system. This includes employees who will be using the electronic system, regulatory agents who will ensure compliance with electronic record-keeping regulations, third-party auditors, and customers. On this slide, you see the steps it takes to move from paper HACCP to eHACCP. The first thing you may notice is that there is a transition period or period of time when both systems will operate together. This is critical to ensure that the eHACCP system will operate effectively and meet both regulatory and customer requirements. At the conclusion of the transition period, a validation report will be developed to provide objective evidence that the system is working as planned. The first preliminary step is to determine the extent of the eHACCP system. Will the system cover just the CCPs, or will the system be used to cover both the CCPs and prerequisite programs? A good place to start is the entry of CCP data. Then once this is accomplished, the eHACCP system can be rapidly expanded to cover the entry of prerequisite program data. Next, an implementation plan should be developed. The implementation plan defines success and key milestone and measurable objectives. The measurable objectives should include employee competencies and requirements for data accuracy. It is highly recommended that you evaluate the current paper documentation process. This allows one to understand the flow of data and information in the paper HACCP system and determine if there are any glitches in the paper system. There is an old saying, if there are small problems in a paper system, The electronic system will automate and magnify these problems. We have seen numerous problems that occur in the collection of HACCP data. Issues observed include not collecting the data at the same location every time, and not entering all of the data into the paper system. Other things that should be evaluated include how are the data handled and the appropriate actions taken in response to violation of CCPs. If issues are found in the paper HACCP system, these issues should be corrected prior to the implementation of HACCP. The next step involves developing the electronic HACCP forms from the paper forms. Then the HACCP forms will be reviewed and with management and individuals assigned to collect and use the HACCP data. Once complete, the hardware and software is installed and an initial shakedown is conducted to ensure that the HACCP system is properly operating in the plant environment. Finally, there is the training of employees and ensuring that the employees are competent in using the HACCP system. With the preliminary steps done, the electronic system can go live. The first step is to ensure that the system is working properly, and if any issues are uncovered, they will be corrected. After that, data are collected for the validation study. Validation is a critical step in the implementation process. The validation study will be conducted to ensure employee competency and data accuracy. It is critical that the study be conducted by a validation expert who knows statistical analysis. Once the study is conducted, a validation report is issued that provides objective evidence that the HACCP system is working as planned. This documentation can be used for internal safety reviews as well as with discussions with regulatory agencies, third-party auditors, and customers. Once this is complete, the paper system can be discontinued and the plant can celebrate the implementation of a new technology. The success of transition from paper HACCP to HACCP depends on focusing on a number of key points. The transition team should use the project management techniques. In addition, the team should develop the system that meets the KISS principle. Keep it sweet and simple. There is an old saying, what is easy gets done. It is imperative that the current HACCP process is well defined so that any glitches or problems that are identified will be solved before the implementation of HACCP. It is also imperative that all employees that will use the HACCP system have the necessary competencies before the system goes live. The company needs to have a plan to retrain current employees and train new employees in the system. Once the project is completed, a review should be done to understand the successes and the problems that occurred in the implementation process. This provides the continual learning experience to ensure future success in implementation of new technologies. The transition from paper to electronic can be a success and achieve all of the promises that are made by the supplier if an implementation process is defined and followed. If you would like more information on HACCP or managing food safety systems, please contact me via email or give me a call. Thank you for listening to this presentation.